Great to be here with you on earth as it is in heaven. We are singing, don't we? On earth as it is. So let heaven come down. And how does that look like when heaven comes down? Yeah, we will explore this a little bit. I've been in China 23 years, 23. And there is actually a, yes, 会讲中文吗？ 那不错。There is actually a history here in Harpenden, a China history. In the 80s, China was very closed, was really hard to get in. And there was a ministry here in Harpenden in the 90s, a reconciliation ministry, Graham Fawcett, maybe some of you remember, maybe he's still around, doing British colonialism history in China, doing reconciliation ministries, teams to China to apologize for part of what the colonialism did. And that is part of bringing heaven down to earth. Yeah, it opened a little something in China. Then there was a China desk here in the 90s, YWAM, China focused. They later moved to Thailand, and I joined them in Thailand, and they established ministries, business as mission in China. And I was a little part in that. Later, a Singapore Chinese man came and asked me, let's do an annual conference. And we called this conference Family Conference for the YWAM family in China. Family. Let heaven come down to earth. Family. I was thinking about Malachi 4 during the worship. Let the hearts of the fathers connect with the sons, and let the hearts of the sons connect with the Father. Family conference. In China, we were not like a base, like you are here. We were scattered. So once a year, we came together and got to know each other as a family. We learned about each other. What are you doing? Oh, DTS. What are you doing? SOFM. In the beginning, no Chinese YWAMers. Then following year, 2 or 3 Chinese YWAM. The following year, 10, 20, 100, 200. And that grew and grew and grew. And so there is no founder of YWAM China. There were little puzzle pieces. And I have also a little piece in this development of YWAM China and seeing a nation change. And not just YWAM, many other ministries. There was an open door in China, maybe 20 years, till 2018, and many of us got arrested. I was arrested and interrogated for 4 weeks, and many of us had to leave. But the Chinese believers stay, and they continue and grow. Family conference, part of our family. I really like this. China, can you do the next slide, the second slide, please? Yeah, so China, during those times, China changed from a harvest field where they received workers to a harvest force. Over the years, and YWAM played one part in this, as well as many other organizations, to equip and train Chinese workers into full-time ministry from everywhere to everywhere. You hear this in the DTS, call to all. Everybody goes everywhere. That's what we're about. And now there are Chinese workers going to the rest of the world to share the gospel. From the harvest field, receiving workers, to the harvest force, sending workers. And I want to emphasize that this requires, I would almost say requires, long-term missionaries. Evangelism is good. Short-term teams are great, are good. long-term missions, and I don't mean 6 months. Long-term, I mean 10 years. Sorry. Who shall I send? Here am I, send me. 10 years. Yeah, 15 years. Yes. Learn the language and expose yourself to your neighbors. And they are watching you. Like, oh, how do these Christians live? It's one part to raise your hand. Yes, I give my life to Jesus. But discipleship training schools, neighborhood, family, they watch you. How do you live your life? How does that work? How do you worship your God, and how do you live the vertical of the cross, and how do you live the horizontal? How do you treat your children? How do you treat your spouse? How do you treat your colleagues? We talk about self-leadership, that's family ministry, family conference, that is the horizontal, how we treat each other. So I'm talking tonight about really the doing and the being, these two sides that have to work together. We do a lot in YWAM, but discipleship means a lot has to do with being, developing a life. So can we have the next slide? This is a guy, and I wanted to ask you, which direction does he go? Which direction does he move? One, tell me. I can't. Yes, backwards. Backwards. I have a chair here. So backwards, he goes backwards. So I go backwards, like, how come I don't lose direction? How does that work? Like, why don't I go in circles? You know, these guys rowing, on the Thames River, rowing. Maybe there are 2 in here, or 4 even. Well, if there are 4, there is a guy who looks that way. If there is only 1, I don't have a mirror, so how come? You have markers in the back. I have those. I found this behind the church. One here. Well, let's start with one. What is this? This is scriptures you received. This is scriptures that really spoke into you, pierced your heart. You said, boy, this is God speaking directly to me. Write those down. Whenever you have that, don't forget to write those down. This gives you direction. Prayers you received. Words of wisdom, prophetic words you received, especially those who really spoke to you. Write those down. They give you direction. They can give you direction, so you don't go in circles. I have a whole diary full, or diaries, books. Now I use online diaries. I write down. Whenever I feel God speaks to me, I write those down. Whenever a person has a prophetic word, I write those down so that I can move into the future without seeing the future. I know, okay, I wrote down what I wanted to share with you, the word that I had here. Luke 10. Oh, that was a very important verse for me. Jesus' words, pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into the harvest. Go. I send you like lambs among wolves. Oof, there is so much in there. Go. Yes, we go. Jesus, I give you everything. Wait a second. I send you like lambs among wolves. Okay, this is not an easy journey. Long-term missions, living as a Christian in society, being a testimony. Okay, so whenever I move forward, I think about Luke 10, Jesus' words. Pray to the Lord of the harvest. Culture of prayer. Culture of mobilizing to send out workers into the harvest. I'm a harvest worker. I want to mobilize people into the harvest. Prayer. That's my direction. I'm going. Go, yes, go. But remember, lambs among wolves, that's a dangerous job. What does that need? Community, protection, shepherd care, the heart of the father towards the children, the heart of the children towards the father. A lot of elements in there that help me with this word to not lose direction. That makes sense? Another element is really more tricky. Is this here. Another marker. I only found 2. There are more outside if you need. These are people and events. Events, good events, negative events, situations, circumstances that shape our lives. Maybe you have a great DTS or great YWAM experience, great outreach, whatever. So, I write this down. This is God is speaking to me. I don't want to lose this. Or you have negative experience, and often it is the negative experiences that shape us most. But we have to work them through, reconcile with the pain, work through the pain so they become values, they become principles in our lives that I can apply so I don't lose direction. And now worse is actually the people. There are people with positive influence and people with negative influence. And again, people with negative influence shape our life quite often more severely. Hopefully not negatively, but you work that through. That makes sense? So you have scriptures, prayers, words that speak to you. You have events and people. And there can be many of those. You write those down, you read those, and whenever you make a decision, major decisions in your life, you look at those and think about, what did I learn? What principles, values did I learn? And how can I apply this so that I don't lose direction? One of a difficult person in my life was actually a YWAM leader many years ago. And I really struggled with this person. And then God told me, stop complaining, do it better. And so I left the team and I started my own team. And I still remember that. I still remember what I experienced as negative. Okay, I need to do a better job. I need to do what I criticized. I need to do better. And I'm still trying. I'm not sure if but stop criticizing. I wrote that down. Okay, God speaks, stop criticizing about him, do it better. That gives me direction. This is this guy. Okay? So, doing and being, next slide. I give you a few examples out of Scripture where that is really visible and really clear. Psalm 23, we all know this. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right path for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. So we read this and we see the valley, and then at the end, the green pastures. And quite often when we go through a valley, okay, we have to press through. We have to pray through. We have to push through. These are YWAM terminologies. Press through, push through, pray through. PPP. Press, push, pray. Press, push, pray. Sounds like being in labor, but it's like... But you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, as it says in other translations. The valley of the shadow of death. I fear no evil. Green pastures. But when you read this, it's actually, for you are with me. It's not about you guide me through the valley. No. I am in the dark valley, and instead of looking at the end, the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm actually right here. I'm actually, don't you see me? Don't you just see the green pastures? I'm right here. And we stay here, Harry. We stay here in the dark valley, and we have a meal together. The enemy can look at us. Green pastures, let's wait. The point is, Jesus and I, God and I, sit down in the dark valley and have a meal, a table before me in the presence of my enemy. Let heaven come down to earth. Yeah, and this... I'm also like this, like very purpose-driven, very project-driven, result-driven. And then as I am result-driven, I discover actually, this is not the goal. Here, this is the goal. Jesus next to me is the goal. Community is the goal. And to sit down, even if it's dark, even if I'm in pain, even if life sucks, let's have a meal, and the enemy can just watch us. Yeah, let's break bread together. Simple church, I learned today. Breaking bread together. Yeah, amazing. Amazing. That's community. That's being. The doing is we run through the valley. The being is I discover Jesus, and we have a meal. Yeah. I like this. Yeah. Discovering God. I often talk about the two sides of Paul, which is the next slide. Next slide. The two sides of Paul. Usually in church we hear or we preach about the goal-getter. Paul who does... evangelism, church planting, mission trips, and then creates structures and policies for the church. This is how you do things, this is how you don't do things, and then it says, do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run, 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 so that you get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. So, sport, metaphor, we stay on course, we run, we have this again. Very biblical. Have goals. Don't just row around in circles. Know where you're going. God has spoken this. God has spoken this. And I'm 57. God has spoken a lot of things in my life. And I write down, okay, This gives me direction. These scriptures, this gives me, and there is always something new that is added. And I run, so I don't do airboxing. I don't run aimlessly. So Paul was very focused. And in the church, we often preach about this, and we love this, and that's actually good. But there is another side to Paul that we often don't hear about. Paul mentioned in his writing 75 names of significant people who ministered to him. 75 names. Just imagine Harry. I imagine Harry, and you imagine your name being written in there as a significant person who motivated and encouraged Paul. And he mentions at least 75 people who ministered to him. Let's go through some of those. Next slide. So you have the focused Paul, and you have the relational Paul. You have the doer Paul, extraordinary. And you have the relational Paul. We don't look at this that often. My fellow prisoner, put in your name, sends you his greetings, as does Mark and cousin Barnabas. Jesus, who is also called Justus, also sends greetings. They are the only Jews among my co-workers for the kingdom of God, and they have proved a comfort to me. So Paul is running the race, and he has co-workers who were a comfort to me. Now imagine long-term missions. You might end up in Afghanistan. You might end up in Bali, not on the beach, doing ministry among the Hindus. You might end up in Congo or in the Brazilian Amazon. You need co-workers, long-term who are a comfort to you, a community of co-workers. Do you have that here? In DTS class, more easy. Long-term, much more challenging. Lambs among wolves. So you're a couple of lambs, among wolves. Do you comfort each other as lambs? Yeah. Do you offer comfort to your other lambs? Not just receiving, but also giving. Yeah. Next one. May the Lord show mercy to the household of Onesiphorus, because he often refreshed me and was not ashamed of my chains. Oh, this is brilliant. So there is a whole household, there's a family, a household who were not ashamed of Paul's chains, not ashamed of your problems, of your weaknesses, of your vulnerabilities, of your sin maybe even. Someone, a whole family you can be authentic with, open with. Your problems, your real you. You go there and they encourage you. They refresh you. They accept you. Whatever you are, whenever you have a need for them. And they come and they show acceptance, love. Boah, do you have that? 25 years in China, it's hard to find. People who I can be vulnerable and authentic with. Really takes intentionality. Yeah. People who don't shame you when you are open. How come you're a missionary? Yeah, you have these problems? No. Go home. You're not worth being a missionary. No, they come beside you and say, well, let me stand with you. Emmanuel, God is with us. Stand with you, sit with you, cry with you, struggle with you, lead you through. To refresh your spirit. Next one. I was glad when Stephanus, Fortunatus, and Achaius arrived, because they have supplied what was lacking from you, for they refreshed my spirit and yours also. Such men deserved recognition. Where are we here? Same, the scripture before, the verses before talk about the household of Stephanus. Another family, another household was there for the workers. And then individuals, they came to visit Paul on a mission trip. So imagine some of you are on a mission trip somewhere, and then people from your home church come and visit. Not to check up, how many disciples have you had? Yeah, how many people did you lead to Christ? Yeah, not kind of this and then. They refresh my spirit. And they supply what was lacking. They bring you a turkey from America today. They bring you a Swiss chocolate. They bring you a Swedish something. So they bring you something that was lacking. That makes sense? Do you have people like this? You have people like that. Not just pray for you, but refresh your spirit so that you are actually refreshed. I'm talking about the horizontal people. Yeah, people. Yeah, and the next verse is making this even more clear. Next one. But God, who comforts the downcast, comforted us by the coming of Titus. So God comforts us, like here we worship, God comforts us. Yes, that's the vertical, but then he sends someone to comfort us. So there is both, it's the cross, both. Titus comes and comforts us, amazing. So you don't live, well, Jesus is enough, yes, but we still live in community. We need this. Even the triunion God is community. So how does this continue? By coming, but also the comfort you have given him. He told us about your longing for me, your deep sorrow, your ardent concern for me, so that my joy was greater than ever. Their longing and their concern, their sorrow for me. So they must have heard he's struggling. There was a level of empathy. Boy, that really hurts me, that you have to go through this. That really hurts me. That really makes me cry. I feel for you. Yeah, I was arrested 4 weeks in a country in East Asia, and there were people crying with me. They were in pain with me, in sorrow with me. And that comforted my soul. They were standing with me. Yeah. Carry one another's burdens. They were standing with me. And Titus was the messenger of God's comfort in human form. So that's Paul's secret of success. The doing and the community, the being. Being focused, but also being able to be vulnerable and receive support from people. Amazing. I really like this. I went to the Middle East a few times in the last months, and I learned the term MBB there. Do you know what that stands for? MBB, Muslim background believers. MBB, Muslim background believers. Those are Muslims who convert to Christianity, and they have a high price they pay. Many lose their family, they lose their inheritance, they lose the family name. You're not my son anymore, you're not my daughter anymore. They lose the whole community they have. They get beaten. The guy who translated me, in this one country, he didn't hear on one ear because he was beaten. So often that he lost his hearing, and he asked me, can I stand on this side so I hear you? So I can translate. And I asked what happened. Yeah, I was beaten by my village because I converted to Christianity. And they found Jesus, amazing, but they need Jesus, yes, but they need community. That's why long-term missions is so important. Yeah, they raise their hand, okay, I believe in Jesus, but if there is no community, they go back to their old community. So we as long-term missionaries need to provide family, community, church. That's why we are called brothers and sisters in Christ. Yeah, brothers and sisters, spiritual mothers, spiritual fathers. And we encourage one another that way. And we are the new family. Long-term missionaries are so, maybe like never before, so needed. Because the unreached areas of the world, the unreached people groups are difficult, are dangerous places, like lambs among wolves. There are no easy places anymore. There are difficult places. We can pray for them, we can do short-term missions, evangelism, and in addition to that, we send long-term workers to those places. And if you are called to do that, do an SOFM. Yeah. So, in some phases of your life, you focus on doing. Phases of your biography, God is really pushing you to a new level of project, of output, of doing. And in other phases of your life, it seems like God says, well, wait a second with your doing. Yeah, let's press this on a hold and let's work on your character. Let's work on your community. Let's work on your relationship skills. Let's work on your attitude, on your listening skills, on your communication skills. Let's work on this. And the more you grow into this, it's like it builds on each other, the doing and the being and the doing and the being. And the people out there, they watch you. They don't just watch your doing. They watch your being. Are you salt? Are you light? To your neighbor, to each other. How do you treat each other? How do you live your life? That is mission work. Being a fragrance, hopefully a good fragrance, where you live. Like Paul, don't be ashamed to show your wounds. Find someone you can show this to. Don't be ashamed when people cry. Cry with you, with your sorrow, or cry with others. Cry with those who cry. Rejoice with those who rejoice, great, but also cry with those who cry. Like Paul, not just have an individual ministry, this is mine, but think about a household, a family. Fathers with their children, with their sons, mothers and fathers with their daughters and sons. The hearts, Malachi 4, daughters and sons connect back to their mothers and fathers. Spiritual mothers, maybe we don't have a good image of our own fathers and mothers, but there are spiritual fathers we can connect with. Even as a base, who came before, learning from them, connecting, so that our soul is refreshed and there is a supply what was lacking. Once you understand that, and once you have this doing and being together, we can run the race. And it's not really anymore about the race. It's about sitting down, Jesus next to me, and we will have a meal in the presence of our enemy. And we don't care. I have Jesus, and that's enough. Thank you.